Hello. Welcome to the Zoom Community Live. I'm all on my own today, but that's no worries. So the Zoom community, it's getting really exciting. 500,000 members. We're just a smidgen away from 500,000 people being in the Zoom community. That's just staggering, really frightening. So get your friends, if they haven't joined, get them to join. Let's break this boundary. 500,000 people in the Zoom community. It's probably the most powerful place for getting Zoom advice and tips. You want to know what's going on in the world of Zoom? Join the Zoom community. Honestly, I am known by many as Lord Zoom. I am supposed to be, I claim to be, I try to be an expert in Zoom. But when I'm stranded or I'm not sure about something, I go to the community forums and that's where I find answers, ideas, inspiration. It's the place to be. Honestly, it is the place to be. And I would like it to also be the place to fix my camera because I'm having terrible camera problems today, which I know a lot of you do have. But why me? Why today? I don't know. I think I've been working too long. I have a feeling that my little Mac Mini is overheating. I mean, Macs say they don't, but wow, it's hot to the touch. It really is hot to the touch. And this is the third live event I've done today. And it's quite a hot day here in the UK. So welcome to you all. So what is the biggest problem? What is the biggest issue? What is the one thing that really challenges you on Zoom as far as building your events and your meetings? To me, there are two things which are sticking out as, oh, this is silly. There are two things that are sticking out that I can't, apart from not getting your camera to work. Let's see if we can make things easier. Not even my HubSpot camera wants to work today. I think my Mac is broken, don't you? There we are. I've got something working. See how long this lasts. One could ask, how many cameras can a Zoom champion go through in one session? Well, we'll see. So the two things that we have problems with, oh, my camera's over there now. I've got to remember not to look over there because you're now over there. My two things that I'd like you to look at are recording and screen sharing. So let's talk about recording first, because it's changed in Zoom quite a lot. And there are new tools coming out to make it even more powerful. But a lot of people have trouble with recordings. And of course, it's usually because the recording's not worked. And
Although I like the idea that Zoom is a perfect system, the internet is not a perfect system, and stuff happens all the time, which can break your connections. So this is how I look at recordings. I never depend on one way of recording anything anymore. You only need your hands burnt once. You only need some important person to be on a webinar and you're recording it for them, and for some reason the recording doesn't work. And you learn your lesson. Always try and find 2 different ways to record. And better still, try and record in 2 different ways on 2 different, completely different machines and networks and everything. Now, I know that's almost impossible for a lot of users, but there are 2 ways to record. You can record in the cloud and you can record locally. The local recording, Zoom, I use the word throws because it does literally, it throws data onto your computer in a format you can't read, but that is efficient for Zoom to get it onto your computer using the least resources and the least effort to do so. And that local recording sits in this really weird format. But at the end of your meeting or your webinar, Zoom will then process that data into the format that we can all use. And if you see a double click icon, that's because it hasn't yet converted the file. So you can record locally. What you need to be careful of, though, is that a local recording records what you see. So if you are looking at the presenter and then you switch to the gallery mode because you want to see what's happening in the gallery, your recording will follow you into that format. So local recordings, you must be careful. They are always going to record what you see as you use Zoom in that meeting or that webinar. And if you switch from one person and you spotlight somebody and then you spotlight and then you go into somebody else and you spotlight them, and then you go away from the spotlight and look at the gallery, or you go to one of the other modes like active speaker mode, whatever you do, that's what the recording is going to follow you and will deliver. So don't think you can sit in gallery mode and keep an eye on everybody, make sure they're all happy, watching their cameras, and then expect the person that's speaking to be the recording. It doesn't work like that. Your local recording will follow you. So the other option is cloud recording. Now, yes, you have to have a paid account if you want to do cloud recording. Let's be fair here. I know there are a lot of community members who don't have a paid account. But if you want to record in the cloud, you need to have a paid account. And you may be concerned that the amount of cloud storage that Zoom gives you is not a lot in a pro account. It's better on a business, and of course ridiculously large on corporates, but on a pro account, it doesn't seem a lot. However, it should be enough for you to record an event or a meeting, whether it's an hour or a few hours. You should be able to record that in the cloud without filling up your space. It does mean that you will need to download or do whatever you're going to do with your cloud recording before you get to record your next one, because once you get to that point, then you might start having storage space issues. But there's enough space to record one good quality recording. And in the cloud recording options, you have a lot of different ways that you can record. Now, you need to set these up before you start your meeting. You need to go into zoom.us and edit those and make sure that they are correct. And then your cloud recording will record what you ask for. And you can ask for multiple things, but you've got to be careful, because if you have a really long event and you've got multiple things on a pro account, you can get close to or even overwhelm your storage. And really, honestly, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Not because I'm trying to be trouble or disruptive or whatever, negative. but it's something you really need to do for yourself, because I could spend all night speaking to you. I can't describe all the different variations that you may have in your use. The only way to really understand it is to go into the cloud recording and go silly. Mark all the things you think you might want. You might want just a screen share. You might want a screen share with a speaker. You might want the speaker separately. Take all the ones that you think you would want and then run a test event or a test meeting or a test webinar, just 10 minutes long. That's long enough. And then you can go back and have a look at all the cloud recordings you have and find the one that suits you. Now, there are ones which you can have a screen share with a speaker at the side. You can have a gallery view. So there are lots of different versions you can have. And you've got two things to think about. One is there a version of that cloud recording that you would say, that's the one I can have, that will work for me, I use that, and that I can then just take that and use it wherever I'm going to use it straight away. That's perfect for me. Some of you will say, well, I'm quite into video editing, so I'll record in the cloud all the main components. So I'll record the gallery, I'll record the active speaker maybe, and I'll record the screen share, and I'll have them recorded as separate items. And then because I do video editing, I can then put them into my video editor and I can play around with them afterwards and make the recording into the version that I want to distribute. And that's fine. But you really got to play with the set and find out what is suitable for the way you work. And you might want to change the options if you've got different types of meetings. You can't, when you're in the meeting, decide what you want the cloud to record, because that would just be too complicated. You just hit the cloud button and you say, I want a cloud record, and you get a cloud recording. And therefore, you've got two various ways to get your recordings, and two ways that will be, hopefully, cover you for what you need. And that will be your strategy for recording. But as I said, you need to practice and play with the recording so that you know what is useful and what isn't useful. If you don't, then you might not get the recording you want. I think that's the only fair way I can say about it. There is another type of recording, in a way, which is streaming. And that may be streaming to YouTube, like I am now, or it could be streaming to other platforms. And you've got really two options there as well. You can stream direct to these different platforms using Zoom, or you can use a third-party app. You stream to that, and it can then stream to multiple places for you as well. People tell me that you can stream multiple places in Zoom. I've not tried it. And actually, I will never try it unless you tell me I really need to for your sake. But I would not want you to be streaming to multiple places with Zoom. I don't like the idea of doing it. I don't like the idea of all the extra bandwidth and space it needs to stream. I'm not sure exactly how much stress it puts on your machine or Zoom. We're getting the feeling that most of this is done in the cloud and it isn't such a problem, but I'm still not sure. I don't have the confidence to do it. And if I don't have the confidence to do it, I'm probably not going to encourage you to do it, because that wouldn't be fair now, would it? That wouldn't be fair. But streaming to YouTube and other places is a great way of sharing your content. It's also frankly, it's another recording, isn't it? It's another copy of the information for you. So it's a good thing to do. but we need to address the potential problems. And what I mean by the potential problems is that just like a local recording, a recording that is streaming is going to follow you in a similar way. So if you are in speaker mode, it's going to record the speaker. But if you switch to gallery, it's going to stream the gallery. And those other fancy ways of streaming, like immersive, and maybe you've got a webinar using other tools, doesn't work. The guys that are responsible for doing the streaming don't support the other ways of looking at users. So if you're running a webinar event at the top end, and you have the ability to use Production Studio, which is the software-based organizer of scenes and layouts with Zoom. In the technical world, we call that a software switcher because it switches between things. If you're going to use that, that is a good thing to use, because what you decide to stream with Production Studio is exactly what will go to YouTube. So if you're running events or Webinars Plus, I would thoroughly recommend, even if you just have a one layout like I've got here and use nothing else, I would suggest you use Production Studio. In my case, I'm just going straight out with myself highlighted as a speaker with a little background. But going out and streaming, it's like recording. It's like local recording. It follows you. And if you decide to do a layout in a different way, because you go to gallery mode and you've got a different layout on your screen, that's what they're going to see on the internet as well. So you've got to make sure that if you're going to do that sort of thing, you know what is going where. Because it's very tricky, and I'm going to try and do it now. It's very tricky to have a quick look. There, I just had a quick look at my YouTube to see if it's going out the way I think it is. And of course, the other YouTube thing we must remember is delay. There is a gap between me speaking into my camera and microphone here and the people who are in the Zoom room with me at the moment will see that almost instantaneously. The delay is a fraction of a second. But the service going up to YouTube could be 5 to 10 seconds if you're lucky, and could be 20 to 30 seconds if your connection is not so good. And again, this is where we get into dubious territory, because Zoom is constantly trying to find ways to get everything that we do up into the cloud, so it doesn't get limited by our internet connection, because it's the upload internet connection that's sending all your video, and you need 5 gigabytes. Sorry, 5 megabytes to gigabytes. Well, that'd be frightening. 5 megabytes at least. You want a 10 megabyte service because you always want double in case of problems. You want a 10 megabyte connection up. Now, some of the early broadband connections have a high speed down and a lower speed up. They could have an up speed that could be only 10, 15 or 20 megabytes. In which case, you don't want anybody else on your internet connection doing anything else while you are running a meeting. You've probably got space to download to see the people, but you need the upload speed to make sure that your video is going to get to Zoom and onto YouTube. And YouTube is, well, it's not fragile, but it's more fragile than Zoom is. So if you want a reliable connection, you need to go to YouTube with a good quality internet connection. And if you don't have a good quality internet connection, don't choose the option to go at 1080. Choose the option to go at 720. When you do a Zoom, it gives you the option 720 or 1080. Use 720. It's a lower quality, but it is significantly smaller in space, which will take the stress off your internet connection. It will take the stress off your machine, and it will take the stress off you because it's more reliable. If you are doing a lower resolution, then don't have graphics or anything that's really small because it will just get blurred. Don't wave your arms around really quickly, because the slower you raise your hands, the less chance it has of getting blurred and not seeing what you're doing. So you have to get a little less excited when you're delivering. So that's probably the biggest thing that we get comments for, is this loading, saving, and streaming. They're the things that people have the most problem with. And the reason they have the most problem with is because when it does go wrong, there's no going back. You can't undo, you just have to redo. And if you've got some important speaker who's joining you for a presentation, they're probably never going to want to come back. I think I've had 2 failures in 7 years. And only one of those speakers would do the recording again. The others wouldn't entertain it, wouldn't help. They'd done their speech, they got paid, they were off. So you want to make sure that you make quality for your recordings, and you have what you need and maybe a little bit more. So if you can record twice, if you can have 2 different types of recording, if you can store them, then that's fine. But cloud recording can, if you choose various different options at the same time, can be expensive in storage space. So I have Zoomies Cover Your Ears. I've got a little trick for you to save money with Zoom. Now, I know that I said earlier, you do your recording, get it all off the cloud, and then you're ready for your next recording. But there will be times when you will have one event after another, and you will not be happy with deleting one recording so you can get ready for the second one. Well, there's a little trick you can play. Once you've got your first recording, download it to where you need it. So you've got a copy of it, because you want to make sure you've got a copy. And then delete it. And you're ready for your next recording. But I have a secret to tell you. Zoom's a little bit forgiving. That recording you deleted, they don't delete it straight away. It can hang around for 30 days. In your deleted box, deleted, but not removed. So if you, after you've done your second recording and have downloaded, find you need access back to your first recording, what you can do is download and delete your second recording, and then undelete or restore your first recording to get the bit of stuff that you need. When you delete something, it comes off your allowance for storage. While it's in the deleted box, it does not take any of your allowance for storage. So you can use it as a sort of backup, emergency, copy, recording, whatever. Now, I'm going to tell you not to leave that situation for more than 2 weeks. Do not rely on your recording being there after 2 weeks. Now, I know it will be there for 30 days, but I've seen on the forums that people say, oh, I went back to my recording. It was only 32 days and it wasn't there. Well, 30 days is 30 days. I can give you no guarantee whatsoever. In fact, I will probably guarantee the other way. It will get deleted. It's not perfect because sometimes Zoom might not do a cleanup of the servers, of your servers that your recording's on that particular night for whatever reason. But you can't rely on that. You mustn't rely on that. So I will tell you that when you delete a recording, I'm giving you, John, Lord Zoom is giving you 2 weeks to be able to recover your files. After that, I will not guarantee anything. But putting your recordings and deleting them frees up your space. And as I said at the beginning, for most of us, a meeting recording, even if it's a webinar, even if it goes on a couple of hours, that's not going to be enough to fill up your storage space. Except one of the other ways people are now doing recordings is using Zoom Clips. Now, Zoom Clips is fantastic. If you want to do a screen share and you just want to do it to share to other people, in the old days, before this came along, you'd have to have a meeting on your own. And then you could do a screen share and you could do your content and it would all be fine. But Zoom Clips allowed you to record without all that unnecessary mucking around. You just choose what you want to screen share, choose whether you want to be on camera or not, and record. And then you get the recording and you can share the recording, or you can edit the recording and upload it elsewhere. But please remember that your Zoom clips are still going to count towards the storage space you've got with Zoom. So if you're on a pro account and you like Zoom clips, you could very, very, very quickly fill up your account with lots of clips, and then you'd run out of space. If you're on a business account, you get more storage space. And remember, this is storage. So you can find it all there. But if you have too many Zoom clips stored, you're going to use up your allowance in the same way. I'm trying to think of a polite way of putting this. If you compare storage costs for videos on Zoom against other video storage sites, Zoom is more expensive. All right? We've got to be open about this. Zoom is more expensive. But that's okay. Because what you can do with Zoom storage space is more than the other platforms that I see. And even when it's the other platforms can do some of the things that Zoom can do. Zoom Clips, you can share a clip and then people can come to the page and they can see the transcripts and they can comment on it. There is so much more the storage of Zoom does compared to other storage companies. Now, I know other storage companies have higher tiers, and those higher tiers have some of those features, but then you're not comparing apples with apples. Vimeo has a low-cost storage. It's cheaper than Zoom. But if you want to do the clever things that Zoom does, you've got to go up to their higher tier and you've got to spend much more. So Zoom is more expensive for storage if you're just going to store your webinar recordings. If you're going to use your webinar recordings and you're going to share them and you're going to use all the interactive features that are available on that and your Zoom clips after the recording's made, then actually the Zoom storage costs are good value. And if you're going to use it that way, then it's quite justifiable to upgrade your storage requirements on Zoom so you can keep the recordings and make use of them after the events. Because I'm seeing this in a lot of the cases now, you can run an event and you can have many more people interact with that event after it's happened. Now, there may be reasons why you want to make people turn up, in which case, frankly, don't make recordings available to people. Make them come to the event. Keep the recordings to yourself. Don't let other people have access. It's difficult to get, and I know this from personal experience, it's difficult to get people to join you live. Some of these like this live show is going to get way more people watch it on the various places where I put it after than they're going to watch it live. Many, many more. 4 or 5 times people at the moment are going to see this after the event than live. And as hopefully this channel grows, the numbers will grow. And I will be surprised if the ratio changes much, because that's what I've seen across many platforms. And I am running 3 or 4 live events a week at least, and private events as well. So you may be surprised that I've been jabbering on for nearly half an hour now on all I've talked about. And I haven't even done a demonstration of how to do it. Just the theory of recording and fitting into streaming and storing data. But it's really important. Honestly, there are countless people posting in the forums of issues around this. And you just need to get a process that works for you, because there's lots of different ways to record. There's lots of different things you can do after you've recorded. There are lots of ways of creating that recording. You can do a meeting on your own. You can do a webinar. You can do a meeting with people. You can do your Zoom clips. However you do it, it's up to you. It's the thing that suits your processing, your abilities, and the stuff that you have, whether it be hardware or software. The most important thing is record even when you don't think you need it. I know computer hardware is getting expensive at the moment because of all these problems in the world, but you can still get a 1 or 2 terabyte drive. Honestly, you'd be amazed how many recordings you can fit on one of those. You're more likely to get lost and need a better filing system than anything when you do that. So, just checking my note. The other thing we need to talk about is, where do all these recordings go? Well, in the cloud, they're in the cloud, so that doesn't matter. But many people have a problem knowing where their recordings are on their computer. And the easy answer is, if you haven't changed the settings, then they are in your documents folder. And inside your documents folder will be a folder called Zoom. And inside Zoom will be a folder which has the name of your event room and the date and time of the recording. And inside that folder, there could be a copy of the chat, it could be transcripts, and there could be the local recording. It really depends on what you set up. So I suppose you want to know how you set these up. And this is where I need to pull up a Zoom browser for this. And I will sign in to, it doesn't matter what I sign into. What have we got? That's the one I wanted. Okay, so I'm going to drag that down to this screen here. Yes, I've got 3 screens on this computer. That's probably why my camera is playing up. Getting greedy with all the screens open. Oh, no, I've got it stuck. Okay, I have now broken it. There we are, and I've now fixed it. So if I now go up to the other subject of conversation, which is screen sharing, do you you know all these icons? You can drag them all around and change the order, and it's really cool. But the problem is that I don't have like a set way in my head of how I'm going to do this, and I'm always changing the order of them, and I can never find anything. So I'm going to share Zoom windows in case I'm going to put the Zoom thing over. So you should, hopefully, and I now have to wait, in a way, I have to wait like for 20 seconds to see if the screen share is working. It says it's working, so I'm hoping that screen share will be on YouTube in a minute. And you will see my Zoom settings. And I am in Zoom settings, and I want to know about sharing. Now, one of the tricks with these, because there are just so many settings in Zoom now, but one of the tricks in Zoom is for me to just go to the settings, and when you get the settings, you choose the subject you want. So in this case, I'm going to choose the tab for meetings, and I'm concerned that my tab is not appearing on YouTube. And then you just type what you want to do. So if you type record and then press enter, you'll get a list of all the different types of recording you can do. Depending on your setting, it's going to be different. And I would love to know why Zoom is not giving me my recording. Because it's there, I promise you. So let's see if we can force it that way. Anyhow, what you want to do is you go to your meetings, and then you click on the, sorry, you go into your settings, you click on your meetings tab, and now I've cheated, it's turned up, so that's what good. And you can see a little box at the top. So I put the word record in there because I know I want to do recording. And if I press enter, I then get all the recording related functions on that particular section. It's much easier than scrolling up and down all the lists. Just put the word in, the keyword that you think you want. And you will see that I am a greedy guy. Now I have this is a corporate version of Zoom that I'm running here. And therefore I've got Zoom webinars and Zoom meetings. So you can see that I've got allowing the host to record options for all of those. So that gives me the option to record all the options that all the things that I've set. I got the option to record them in all the places I will be. And then after that, you can see there's a whole load of different recording options there are. So I'm going to try and rattle through and sort of explain to you which one is what. So the first one is record active speaker with shared screen. So that would give me a recording of my active speaker with a little box. Sorry, my shared screen with a little box with the active speaker on the end. It's confusing. They should put it the other way around. So you should record it the other way around because that's what it is. You get a big screen of your screen share. You get a little box of your active speaker. And that means active speaker is the person that Zoom thinks is the one that's speaking and gets a focus. So if I was speaking, if we were on one of my other shows and my mate Mike was here, if Mike then started speaking, he would become the active speaker and his video would replace mine. And if he then stopped and I started speaking, I would become the active speaker and I would take over. Now, the active speaker is a good way of doing things. But of course, if somebody has the microphone on and they cough or they shuffle or they play around with a microphone, Zoom can sometimes think that, oh gosh, they're going to be the active speaker, and we'll flip over to them and then back to you again when it realizes they've got nothing to say. But that is a good recording to do for those people that want to take something and record it straight away and not have to worry about processing it, because it gives you the two things together. You can see also underneath that, you've got the ability to record the gallery view. So that's everybody in the gallery view, or the top people in the gallery view, should I say, because gallery view only has a limited number of people, and you can have thousands at a meeting if you really want to, but also with a shared screen. So again, that works really well. And for some people, that's a good instant thing to do as well. And then the next option, which is for, I think, those people who want to do things themselves, edit it afterwards, really cool option, records the active speaker, the gallery view, and the shared screen separately. And if you have simple needs, then that could be the one that you're going to use for everything. The next thing is what happens when people talk over each other. And if you have that situation coming up, then you've just got one output from Zoom, and they will be talking over each other. If you're the person doing some sort of podcast or something like that, where you're going to have multiple speakers, and you've got cameras on each speaker, maybe, this is quite useful because you can get it to record one audio file for all participants. Now, I think the limit is 100, the first 100 people to speak. But as far as I'm concerned, it's just a much bigger number than I'm ever going to worry about. But that means that each of your speakers will have their own audio file, which of course means that if two people talked over each other, you could edit out those overlaps of the audio and separate them out. So one person finishes and the next person takes over. And then you could effectively extract the two conversations that overlapped and make them separate in editing. And I think that works really well. And that makes things easier. So you have the two options: recording one audio file for all participants, which is actually the default option. But this gives you a separate audio file not connected to the video. And then you've got the option of recording a separate audio file of each person who speaks. So you can pull into that. And most audio and video editing programs nowadays, if you've got multiple recordings and they've all got the audio in them, they've usually got a feature where they will listen to all the recordings and they'll line them all up for you. So you can then choose which one you get to see at different places. If you have an interpreter, you need to have a record the interpretation. This is the option that I use all the time. Record Production Studio. So if you're using Production Studio, which you use in Zoom Webinars Plus and Zoom Events, you check that and you have the Production Studio output all the time. Then, of course, you want to save your chat. Now, this will be your main chat. If you save the chat in Zoom, it's not going to save chat in breakout rooms. It's only going to save the chat in the main room because that's where Zoom sits. It doesn't join you in the breakout rooms. If you want to record chat in breakout rooms, you've got to be in the breakout room and save the chat yourself. And then we've got some things which are quite useful for cloud recorders. Some people will like to add a timestamp, but it does get in the way of the recording. Some people like to display, I do, the participants' names in the recording. Does get in the way if you want to do something more interesting. Recording the thumbnails. I don't know why you wouldn't record thumbnails, so that's fine. Some people say that they get a better quality of recording and it's easier to edit if you click on the box, optimize recording for third-party editors. I don't really know what to say apart from try it. It does seem to take a bit more processing to do if you choose this option, but you need to see if it makes a benefit to you for your video editor afterwards. Creating an audio transcript. In other words, get AI to turn everything into a transcript for you. So your text for your captions where you might want to do. Save panelist chat to the recording. I've never used that. I always keep thinking it'll ruin my recording. And save poll results after the event. Again, that may be something you want to do. Save code captions as a VTT file. This is the file that things like YouTube use to give you the words. Now, if you just give a video to YouTube, it will try and convert it. But I have, not often, but I have on a number of occasions found that Zoom's ability to turn the speech into text is better than YouTube. I'm sure some of you would agree to differ on that one, but that's my experience. And so you may want to have that. I have that. And I find this is a useful one to leave switched on. Sometimes you go to an event or you're running a meeting, and there will be people there who, for whatever reason of their own, want a recording. They find the recording is important. So I have this checked, because if somebody's thinks there's going to be a recording important, it's much better for me to give them the ability to request for that recording to be made than for them to have to disrupt the meeting or the webinar or whatever, with putting up their hand or turning the microphone on to ask. Zoom's got a way of doing it, so I turn it on. Otherwise, it's disruptive. I mean, it may be that I've locked down the webinar and they've got no way of asking me, or they put it in the chat and I don't see it. So I find this is a good idea to turn that on. And as far as the next one's concerned, I don't like meetings that run without the host. I know a lot of you have situations where that's normal, but I don't have that. So what else have we got? Well, the next section is about recording for the computer. Now, if you've been using Zoom for some time, you will notice that the options here have changed. And there's more recording in the cloud now than there is locally. But you've got the option there for people to ask. And you can auto approve or not, depending on your thing. And notice, internal meeting participants are the people in your org, in your license. And then you've also got the option for external people. And then we've got save chats as a VT session. That's the same thing. Now, of course, this has just pulled all the recording options that I have in my system because I put the word record in there. So we've got the host can delete the cloud recordings, or admins can do that, depending on how you take what I said about deleting recordings and then coming back. You might want different options to me. And by the way, if you get this thing where it's grayed out, that means I set it globally as the account admin and people can't change the option. Viewers can see the transcript. Sometimes there are reasons why you may not want in your organization for people to see the transcript. And people can see the chat. Again, you may not want that. So let's get to the recording notifications next. So we've got the ability to send out disclaimers, which again is important to some people, annoying to others. And we've also got recording for phone users. Remember, there are people that are using Zoom phone on their phone and Zoom on their phone, and they've got a problem as well. The next feature is really important after what we've talked about. This gives you a weekly reminder by Zoom of what you're going to get deleted, because you can set an expiry date on your recordings as well. So rather than you delete them by hand, you can set an expiry date. Now, of course, that's not space dependent, that's date dependent. So you may want to set that setting. You may not want to set that setting. You've got to think about how your organization works. And then the other thing I just want to do is mention this bit about recording access and email notifications. If you're running a business account or a corporate account, sorry, that's annoying me. If you are on a larger account, then you're probably doing a lot more cloud recording, and you're probably keeping the cloud recordings for longer. And you probably have people accessing those cloud recordings in the future. So sending emails out to notify them the cloud recordings are available is important. People may want the cloud recording to be watched again. So that's what your on-demand is set for. And you've got the ability to share cloud recordings as well. And I mention all these extra functions because that's why Zoom charges more for its recordings compared to other just streaming services. Zoom has many more features, many more things you can do with your recordings, and therefore it's reasonable that it charges more for those recordings. But if you're just going to use the recording as a storage, it's not good value. Get your recordings off and put them somewhere else. Bear in mind that if you put them on YouTube, anyone can watch them unless you set the privacy options. So you get what you pay for in all these cases. And by the way, considering what you guys pay for your mobile phone contracts, I honestly think Zoom is an absolute steal. I really do. So that is the options. And that is what, that's all I've got time for today. I may have to schedule more of these lives if I'm going to fit all the things in you talk about. But recording and sharing is caring. Caring for you, caring for your speakers, and caring for the content that you've spent a lot of effort putting together. So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with some more community information and questions. I have just checked the chat and I can't see any questions in live. I'm just checking the Zoom. I can't see any questions in live there, although my Zoom does seem to be well ahead of my YouTube recording today. There seems to be a big delay one to the other, but I'm sure it will catch up for those people watching it. However, that is all I have for today. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the recording. Please share, please comment. I do read the comments. I will refer to anything that you want to bring up in our next fortnightly meetup. And look, this is being created for you, the community. So please make use of it, interact with it, chat, come on the call. We've got a 1,000-seat stadium waiting for you to join us. So we got plenty of room. I mean, there are 500,000 of you. So you've got a 1 in 500 chance of joining me. That puts it into perspective, doesn't it? Wow. We are close to 500,000 people on the community. Get your friends to join. Let's get across that boundary. I'm so looking forward to celebrating that. But if you've got a question, the best place to get an answer quickly is the Zoom community forums. There are bots and things that can find quick answers for you. There are humans, including people like me, who will pick up the answers and help you out. That's what it's all about, learning together as a community, as a Zoom community. So thank you very much for being here. And I wish you well. And I'll see you next time. And now all I need to do is find the buttons to say goodbye and hope that I don't cut off my own ending. Maybe there's 20-second delay. And yes, I'm working on a song because we like a song. I'm working on a Zoom song for this community. We'll have it next week, next fortnight. Next week. I'd love to be next week, but it'll be next fortnight for now. Thank you very much for watching and listening.